Hello, good morning everyone. Today we are going to start class 8, chapter number 4, reproduction in animals, second part. Till this part we had done that in the last video. So what we had seen that when the fertilization takes place, then the embryo gets implanted in the mother's uterus, and then we say that the pregnancy has taken place and the birth of the child takes place after 9 months or 9 months 10 days. So in the uterus, when the baby or the embryo is growing, then it is protected by a sac called the amniotic sac. The sac contains amniotic fluid which acts like a cushion and protects the baby from all external injury. And when the baby is ready to be born, the sac bursts and the wall of the uterus goes through contractions to push the baby out through the vagina. And therefore, vagina is also known as the birth canal, birth passage. Next, we have twins. About the twins. Usually, only one ovum is produced at a time. So, only one baby is born. But sometimes it so happens that two ova happen to mature. That means two ova gets matured and they are released, both of them are released at the same time. And as you all know that when the sperm is released to the female's vagina, then so many sperms are there at a time. So if one egg was there, then one egg would have got fertilized with one sperm. But since two eggs are there, so both of them will get fertilized by the help of two sperms. And this result in the birth of the twins. And those twins that are born in this way, they are called non-identical twins or fraternal twins. See here given fraternal or non-identical twins. And what about identical twins? When does identical twins get birth or are born? So if it so happens that the fertilized eggs only divide into two, when the fertilization has taken place and the fertilized egg, that means the zygote, divides into two, this leads to the birth of identical twins. Identical twins look almost like copies of each other and are of the same sex. That means both may be boy or both may be girl. But in non-identical twins, that may be a boy or a girl or both boys or both girls. Fraternal twins are as similar as any other siblings and need not be of the same sex. Next is the menstrual cycle. When the girl child reaches the puberty, what happens? The ovaries release the ovum into the fallopian tube once every 28 days. And this process of release of egg after the reaching the puberty is known as ovulation. So when the girl child has reached puberty, that time her ovary starts releasing egg, and that egg is passed from the ovary through the fallopian tube every 28 days. When the uterus Then the uterus, after ovulation, starts preparing to receive and nourish the embryo. The walls gets thickened with an increased supply of blood. And it so happens, suppose the girl child is not married, or whatever may be the case, if the girl child, when the egg has been released and the girl child's egg doesn't receive sperm, then what will happen? The cushion, the inner blood linings that had been developed in the uterus of the child, of that girl child, is no more required. And so we can say that since fertilization has not taken place, so there is no need of such blood linings that has been developed. So it needs to be expelled out, and so it rupture by itself and get expelled out from the girl child's body with the help of a process. We call that process as menstruation. And since this menstruation occurs every month after attaining puberty, this is also known as menstrual cycle. Sometimes it is also known as monthly periods or just periods. The entire process of ovulation, thickening of the uterine wall, and menstruation is called menstrual cycle, and this usually repeat itself after every 28 days. See here in this diagram, it has been shown to us the menstrual cycle. So what happens? About every 28 days, an egg is released from the ovary, and then it reaches up to here in the fallopian tube or the oviduct, and then it waits for the sperm to come to the vagina for the fertilization to occur. But suppose what happened, when this egg is released, at the same time the inner linings of the uterus wall gets thickened, a network of capillaries grows here, it prepares the uterus to receive the fertilized egg. But it so happens this egg does not receive the sperm through the vagina. Then what will happen? This blood vessels, this cushion, the soft inner linings of the blood is no more required. So it will rupture all by itself. So within about 2 weeks time, the dead cells and the blood passes out to the vagina, and this is known as menstruation, or we call this one as the menstrual cycle. Our next topic is secondary sexual characters. Many physical and emotional changes occur in boys or girls around the age when they attain the puberty. So what is the age of puberty? Usually it is told that girls attain puberty between 11 and 14 years, and boys attain puberty between 13 and 16 years. So when a girl child or a boy child attains puberty, then certain changes occur in their body, in their behavior, in their physical structure, and that we call them as the secondary sexual characters. You may be asked the question, what are secondary sexual characters? So you can write the answer. The external physical changes that occur at puberty are called secondary sexual characters. So let us see what are the secondary sexual characters that develop or the changes that occur in the girl's child. When the girl child attains puberty, growth of hair starts occurring in the pubic regions and armpits. Breasts develop and enlarge, the hips broaden, extra fats get deposited in various parts of the body like the hips, thighs, etc. Fallopian tubes, uterus and vagina enlarge. Ovaries start releasing egg, and as I told you about the menstrual cycle, the monthly period or the menstrual cycle starts. Next we have what are the changes seen in boys when they attain this puberty, or what are the secondary sexual characters that develops in boys. In the boys or in a boy child, the changes are the growth of hair on face that we call the beard and the mustache. Growth of hair takes place in the pubic regions and the armpits. Deepening of the voice takes place. Enlargement of the penis, the testes, increase in the muscle parts, mass muscle we can say, and the testes starts to make sperms. Now the question is, whatever changes are occurring, what is responsible for this change, or what causes the body to go through these changes? This is what we are going to study about in the next part, the endocrine system. So what is endocrine system? The system that consists of several glands that are scattered all over our body is called endocrine system. And the glands which are counted under this system, they are called endocrine glands. And these endocrine glands, they are different from the other type of glands that we call the exocrine glands. The endocrine glands are such type of glands that discharge the chemicals, we can say hormones, that they produce directly into the blood. While exocrine glands are such type of glands that discharge the chemicals not directly into the blood. The chemicals produced by the endocrine glands, we call them as the hormones. So what are hormones? So you can say the chemicals produced by endocrine glands are called hormones, and hormones act like chemical messengers. They are carried by the blood to the specific organs or tissues with messages for them to what they have to do, what they have to perform. Thus, we can say the endocrine system controls and coordinates the functioning of many organs of our body. Now, in this diagram, we have been shown the various endocrine glands and their location. For example, we can see here the pituitary gland. its location is base of the brain, and its function is to regulate growth and functioning of the other endocrine glands. The next one can be seen is the thyroid gland. It is found near the larynx, and the function of this gland is to control many activities of the body, including the rate at which energy is produced. Another one we can see is the parathyroid gland, behind the thyroid gland. Location is behind the thyroid gland. And the function of parathyroid gland is to control the balance of calcium in our body. Next we have adrenal gland. Adrenal gland, it is found attached to the both the kidneys. These are two in number. Acha, one thing I forgot to tell you all, the parathyroid gland, they are four in number, and this adrenal glands, they are two in number. Each of them, it is attached to one kidney, and the function of this adrenal gland is to regulate the heartbeat, respiration rate, and blood pressure. Next one can be seen is the pancreas. It is found below the stomach, almost parallel to the stomach, and it controls the glucose level in the blood. Next we have the testes. Testes, it is found outside the abdominal cavity in the sac that we call the scrotum in the male's body, and its function is to promote the development of secondary sexual characters. So what we saw in the last page, some of the changes are taking place in the body of a male child after attaining puberty, that is because of the hormones secreted by this testes. Next we have, if we see the next one, that means here in this one both has been shown, but this one is for the female one, ovary. Ovaries are found, one this ovary and other one this side too. So ovaries are found in the lower part of the abdomen cavity of a female child or in a female. Its function is to control sexual characters and make the changes related to pregnancy when the girl child attains puberty. So what we saw in the last page, that some of the changes are taking place in a girl after attaining puberty, that is because of the release of the hormones which is controlled by the ovaries. Ovaries release egg also. Their function is to release egg also, and it also releases hormones, that is estrogen and progesterone, that are responsible for various changes in a girl's body. So in this paragraph we can see here, it has been given to us the testes produce male sex hormone called the testosterone. This hormone causes the development of the secondary sexual characters in males. The ovaries produce estrogen, which is responsible for the development of the secondary sexual character in the females. This all I have already told you all. And estrogen also prepares the uterus for the pregnancy. And another hormone, that is progesterone, it brings about the changes in the body during pregnancy. So estrogen has got different function, progesterone has got different function. Both of these are the hormones secreted by the ovaries. Our next topic, so in this table you can see the name of all the glands have been given, their location has been given, and the function has been given. That I have already explained you all when I was explaining this figure. Our next topic is gender and sex. Though the words gender and sex are sometimes used interchangeably, that means when I want to say, or when we want to say the sex, what is the sex? What is your sex? What is the sex of the child? When we take admission to school, there it is a column is there, sex of the child, or when you apply for any vacancy anywhere, there it is a column is there. That is we call sex, that means whether the child is male or female. Sometimes it is also written gender we write gender, maybe male, female, transgender. uh, sex is determined by the nature, while gender is a social or cultural concept. Sex is determined by the nature and gender is a social or cultural concept. When we say to sex, we mean to say the biological characters that make someone male or female. As we saw in the last page, the secondary characters that are seen in a male and a female. But when we speak of a gender, we mean the characteristic people associate with being male or female. Gender differences are social or cultural concept. They vary from one society to another and they also change with time. For example, in 1880s and 50s, when Florence Nightingale wanted to serve the sick, her family was tensed. At that time, no decent woman became a nurse. That means it was considered that a girl belonging to a decent family cannot be a nurse. And now, nursing by and large is seen as a feminine profession. What we see that usually nursing is the work done by the feminine. Similarly, Elizabeth Blackwell, the first woman doctor, had to overcome great deal of resistance in order to study medicine. Because she was a girl, being a woman, she was not allowed to study medicine. But later on, she had been given the permission. Now you may be asked question, what are gender roles? So gender roles are functions the society sees as feminine or masculine. And these gender roles are encouraged in children from a very early age. There is no such law made in any society, in any country. There is no law that will bind a girl to behave in a particular way or compel a boy to perform in a specific way certain functions. But since most people in the society have different ideas of what is feminine and what is masculine, boys and girls grow up performing their own roles differently. That means boys and girls, their roles are supposed to be different. For example, an Indian girl is encouraged by her parents to learn the cooking, stitching and household work doing. But a boy automatically helps his fathers and does all those work that is done by his father. So the idea of the roles of men and women should perform is often reflected in the choice of their profession. For example, women are associated with nurturing, that means taking care of the child, growing, feeding, giving birth to child and taking care of the child, caring, looking after the old and the young, their family members, taking care of their family members. Thus, quite often women become nurses, dietitians, counselors, or primary school teachers. It is thought that women can do the work of taking care of others, healing others, helping others, taking care of old, young husband, their children, their parents, their grandparents, their in-laws, and men are associated with protection, valor, physical stamina, and the ability to put up with physical hardships. That means it is believed that men, they can do all types of work of physical stamina, hard work, laborious work. And so boys often dream of joining the army, navy, or air force. But now the time has changed. No, it is not so. No, it is not so. Now even the girls join army, navy, air force, etc. What we have studied in this chapter in the earlier paragraphs, these are the thinkings of the 19th century, 18th century, 20th century. In this 21st century in which we are living now, the idea has changed. Now it is believed that girl is no less than boys. Women are no less than men. Women can also do all sorts of work what men can do. So the general roles does not play importance in our day-to-day life nowadays. Next we have our taboos. What is a taboo? A taboo is a social or religious custom that prohibits, that stops a certain behavior or practice. For example, in olden days, ancient time, widow remarriage was considered as a taboo. But when the Widow Remarriage Act has been passed in 1856, then widow remarriage is no more considered as a taboo. In some parts of our country and in other parts of the world, the inheritance of property by women, marrying a person from a different caste, community, religion, race are still considered as taboo. Next topic is sex. Our next topic is sex determination. You must have seen signs in different places, in clinics, hospitals, written that sex determination is prohibited. That means nowadays it has been banned. Outside hospitals, clinics, or laboratories, you will see it is written there sex determination is punishable act. Biologically, the sex of a child is determined by the chromosomes in its cells. That means the sex of a fetus in the mother's womb can be determined by testing its cells. The cells of the fetus can be taken out from the amniotic fluid and then with the help of a special needle, and then the sex of the child can be determined. There are some other methods also to find the sex of a child by ultrasonography, or we call ultrasound we call, or by taking the sound picture of the mother's abdomen, or by testing the urine of the mother. There are various ways to find the sex of a child, but it has been prohibited by the law. It is a punishable act because often people want to know the sex of the child because they don't want girl child. So when they come to know by different methods that the fetus growing in the mother's womb is a girl child, then they kill them, they do abortion. And this is known as female foeticide, and it is not good, because in our society the ratio of the female and male is decreasing day by day. So to keep in a proper ratio, so that the balance is maintained between the male and the female, female foeticide has been banned. It is a punishable act. Normally, the number of females should be the same as or more than the number of males, and therefore we should take care of this. We should never try to determine the sex of the fetus, and we should never help anyone in performing foeticide, or we should never do female foeticide. So this chapter is over. You all study nicely. Wish you all the best. Thank you.